Thank you for joining us for this look at some of the best stories from KPBS News this week. I'm Jacob Ayer. Coming up, a school board member in Escondido is reintroducing herself. Carol Durney tells us about her journey as a transgender woman and how she plans to continue serving her community. Then, a warning about food insecurity. Service providers and elected leaders say federal budget cuts are about to make it much more difficult for people to get the help they need. And a conversation with Amna Nawaz. The co-anchor of PBS News Hour talks with our local station about covering the news at a global level during such a volatile time. We start with the KPBS investigation. A top official at San Diego County's Department of Animal Services sent a crude and profane voice message about animal shelter dogs and complained that there weren't enough euthanasias happening. KPBS investigative reporter Scott Rott got a hold of the recording.
Rachel Borelli was named Assistant Director of the Department of Animal Services last June. She oversees operations at the county's 2 animal shelters and regularly approves euthanasias. In a text message thread from late last year, she discussed euthanizing a specific dog and the department's euthanasia policy in general. Borelli felt the county's Carlsbad shelter wasn't putting down enough dogs. She sent this audio message in the text thread.
Yeah, but in Carlsbad, they don't euthanize anything, even if the dog bit a kid. So that's why I was like, euthanize the dog. Like, I'm so sick of us keeping dogs that aren't going to get adopted. That's why we're overcrowded. Call me heartless, but I'm also realistic.
The source who shared the voice message asked to remain anonymous, fearing professional consequences. I personally reviewed the text thread and verified the voice message's authenticity. Borelli declined to comment when reached by phone. Former county animal shelter employees told me the voice message reflects Borelli's general attitude towards dogs and euthanasia.
It doesn't surprise me that it came from her.
Christina Smith worked in the shelter system last year. She grew visibly upset after hearing the voice message.
Any dog that's going to come in with a minor issue, like, is she just going to right off the bat say, yeah, euthanize it. Euthanize this one. I don't care. Just euthanize them all. That's the first thought that went into my head. I'm like, is there going to be any hope for these dogs?
A former Carlsbad shelter employee named Venus Samayoa had a similar reaction.
That sounds pretty typical for Rachel to say. When I hear something like that, my immediate thought is, you shouldn't be working in animal services.
Both former employees say this attitude from someone in leadership could have real and dire consequences for dogs. In July, a KPBS investigation found the dog euthanasia rate at county-run shelters has skyrocketed since the pandemic. Some former employees and volunteers claim dogs with mild, treatable behavioral problems are routinely put down. A county spokesperson has pushed back on these claims and said euthanasia decisions are never made lightly and assessments are done by trained staff. KPBS previously highlighted the story of a 4-year-old Great Pyrenees named Franklin.
There he was, a Pyrenees, and I'm going, what are you doing here? Not barking, just kind of very calm. He took a treat from us. You could tell he had a good disposition.
Carlsbad resident Jeannie Miller adopted Franklin from the county animal shelter last winter. We spoke to her in June at her Carlsbad home. Miller had to return Franklin because her other dog, a Great Dane named Buttercup, barked and growled at him. It was Franklin's second time being returned to the shelter. A family previously brought him back for growling and being territorial around food. Miller emphasized that Franklin was a very good dog in the return paperwork.
The lady assured me that, with the review, he was going to be adoptable, and, people will probably adopt him sooner, quicker, because there's a good review.
But the shelter put him down immediately, likely while Miller was still standing at the front desk, KPBS found. Franklin's euthanasia paperwork has the initials RB on it. Rachel Borelli had approved the euthanasia. We shared Borelli's voice message with Miller to get her reaction.
And they're in the business of rehoming animals so that they have a better life, so that they have a life. That's pretty cold-hearted.
I sent a copy of the voice message to the county in a request for comment. County spokesperson Tammy Glenn wrote in an email, quote, While we can't comment on personnel matters, the information provided does not reflect the values or mission of the County of San Diego, and it is not representative of the caring and dedicated work of the Department of Animal Services staff. Glenn added that the department is working to improve its policies and training to support employees and reduce the department's euthanasia rate. Jenny Wysant is an associate clinical professor at the University of Tennessee College of Veterinary Medicine. She's studied the tremendous stress animal shelter workers face. Her reaction to Borelli's profane voice message was one of understanding.
When people are put into situations that where they can't find the positive outcomes, there's frustration and anger.
At the same time, she adds,
Is it awful rhetoric? Yes. And it's hard to hear. And I think that, it's clear that, you can't have somebody in charge who's not able to separate themselves from their emotions and make decisions rationally.
Scott Rodd, KPBS News.
If you have a tip for KPBS's investigations team, you can send an email to investigations@kpbs.org or message them on our secure signal line at the number on your screen, 619-594-8177. A Republican school board member in North County is in the spotlight after coming out as transgender. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas says community members have publicly expressed their opposition and support.
On August 5th, Escondido Union High School District Board member Carol Durney introduced herself during roll call.
I was elected to this board in November 2014 as Bill Durney and re-elected in 2018 and 2022. This year, I have come out as a transgender woman, and I have changed my name to Carol Durney.
The road to this moment began in April 2023. Durney had a stroke. It took out part of her vision on her right side.
But it also kind of changed my attitude. It kind of like woke me up and said, yo, you better start living. This could have killed you.
It also broke her lifelong habit of biting her nails. Durney's wife invited her to get a manicure and pedicure with her. That's where Durney first tried nail polish.
I put nail polish on, it lit me up. It was like magic. I couldn't believe it. And yet, I mean, it was like magic. It was just like the best thing ever.
Durney's wife died suddenly last year. A month later, when she was cleaning their house, Durney decided to try on a dress.
And as I put it on, I just completely broke down. There was so much joy and happiness and love that I felt just putting on clothes. It was unbelievable what I was feeling.
She came out to her kids and her church community. She told the school district superintendent and her fellow board members. At last month's meeting, 8 of the 10 people who spoke during public comment called for Durney to step down.
You have psychological and mental issues when you want to pretend to be something that you will never be. You are a man, and I'm sure a fine one. But this is an abomination.
The voters voted for you as a man, and now you have become a fraud trying to become something that you are not.
Durney says she won't step down. She plans to run for re-election before her term ends next December.
I've got my signs from the last time I ran, and I'm going to put a little pink Carol over the name Bill on the signs and put them back out there.
Durney is a registered Republican. She says she led the Escondido Republican Club a decade ago. She's not happy with the Trump administration, especially its treatment of trans people. But she says she still has mostly conservative beliefs.
I may look a little different, and yes, I've got some new experiences that, will help shape my views, but I'm still the same person I was. Maybe just a little different.
This month's school board meeting was standing room only. The majority of speakers were there to support Durney and to denounce the previous month's comments.
Carol, we do see you, and we support you 100% on your new life journey.
Some speakers questioned why other school board members didn't speak up during the August meeting. Heather Smith teaches at Orange Glen High School and leads the Gay Straight Alliance there.
As adults, we need to model appropriate behavior and respectful language. We do not allow hate speech to be used on our campuses. We write referrals if there is hate speech on our campus. Why would we allow it in our boardroom?
At the end of the meeting, board member Christy Knight said silence does not mean agreement.
I have sat through years working for other elected officials that have been attacked. Horrible things have been said about them and their children, and it's horrible to sit by and not be able to say anything or defend them. This person I have served with for almost 13 years is my friend.
I'm still a Republican. I didn't become a Democrat because of this.
Durney says she left this month's meeting feeling much better than she had last month.
There were people from my church there and other churches, but there were also teachers and educators. There were parents speaking up. There were community members, community leaders. It was more of a representation of what I think Escondido does support.
She's ready to bring back the focus to her priorities for the district: increasing trades courses, improving math scores, and giving English language learners the support they need.
I'm not at the point where I've actually got any kind of ideas about doing anything different. For now, I mean, I'm just looking to get back to the board meetings and not have a whole bunch of people there talking about me, and let's get back to the role of governing.
By next month's board meeting, she expects her nameplate in the boardroom to read Carol. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Chants of "people over billionaires" rang out at the federal courthouse in downtown San Diego this week. Advocacy groups are calling for tax dollars to fund community organizations rather than ICE and the Border Patrol. As John Carroll reports, local leaders are among those taking part.
The messages were as loud as they were urgent.
See it loud and see it clear. Immigrants are welcome here.
Members of several unions and elected leaders all sounding an alarm over the deployment of National Guard troops and ICE into communities, and voicing concern that the rights guaranteed by the First Amendment, like freedom of speech, are under serious threat.
And at the moment that the executive branch begins attacking people for what they've said at a popular show on TV or an editorial they've written for a newspaper, and are sent to prison or a detention center because of that, that means that we're on a slippery slope to losing the fundamental principles of what a democracy means for us.
That we will not stand for injustice.
But County Board of Supervisors Chair Tara Lawson-Remer says it's even more than that.
Our right to health care, basic food assistance, it's all being taken away in order to give tax cuts to billionaires. And if we don't come together as a community to fight back, we're going to wake up tomorrow and there's not going to be anything left.
Several motorists honked in support as they drove by, but a question some may have: how much change can really come from a protest held for an hour or so in downtown San Diego? It's a question I put to Pedro Rios.
And for people that are living in fear, it's important for them to hear and to see that people are willing to stick their necks out during a political climate that's extremely dangerous for people to do so.
This protest was not a one-off. Organizers tell me they're going to be back here every Thursday with the same message: for people to get involved in what they call the fight for the survival of this democracy. In downtown, John Carroll, KPBS News.
Nearly 100,000 people in the San Diego region could face potential cuts to their federal food benefits. As Alexander Wynn shows us, the county has a plan to help those affected keep their benefits.
Another senior shared, "We are just surviving, not living, just surviving."
Jacob Cushman's San Diego Food Bank CEO Casey Castillo is sharing stories from people who rely on CalFresh. It's California's implementation of the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, what used to be known as food stamps.
With tears in her eyes, as she explained how CalFresh helps her feel like she has food security.
San Diego County officials say in February, more than 96,000 San Diegans could lose the benefits under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Not because they did anything wrong, but because the system is about to get much, much harder to navigate.
Under the new rules, more people will have to provide proof that they are working at least 80 hours a month. Those includes veterans, people experiencing homelessness, the elderly, former foster youth, and parents of teens. Previously, this group was exempt from the work requirement.
So all of these folks that we've worked so hard in our community to help lift up are now getting pulled down by a system that's getting harder and harsher.
On Tuesday, County Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer announced a campaign to help the people affected know what's changing and how they can stay covered.
And now if they miss a form or miss a call, they will lose their groceries. That's the crisis we're trying to prevent.
The information will go out through texting, calls, flyers, and other outreach efforts. The food bank says 860,000 people in San Diego County are food insecure. That's more than a quarter of the population.
This is the highest rate of nutrition insecurity in San Diego County since 2020.
In the coming months, the county is working on a concrete plan for other ways to help people navigate the new requirements. In the meantime, Lawson-Remer is urging San Diegans to help their neighbors in need.
Because nobody in our community should not be able to eat.
Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Subscribe to our newsletters to get a list of our most popular stories. Here are some from this week. A San Diego Navy doctor is fired after right-wing activists find pronouns on social media. Plus the story we had earlier from Katie Anastas. In Escondido, a school board member changes her name but not her politics. And avocado growers in San Diego County face multiple challenges as production declines. Recently, KPBS welcomed Amna Nawaz, the PBS News Hour co-anchor, to San Diego. During that time, Evening Edition anchor Maya Trabulsi sat down with her to talk about her career in journalism.
Amna, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And as a person who typically seeks answers through questions, I know that it's going to be different for you to be on the other end.
Very uncomfortable to be on this side of it, but I'm in good hands.
Well, thank you. So let's start with how you got the fire in your gut for storytelling. Who did you watch, listen to, or read that inspired this journalism in you?
You know, I was encouraged as a child to ask questions. It's something my parents instilled in my sisters and in me. I think something they came to later regret because we got to be so good at asking questions. But a lot of people may not know my father was actually a journalist back in Pakistan. He used to anchor the English language evening news there. He covered war, he did documentaries, and what he encouraged in all of us was ask questions and know the power of your words. Like, understand that what you say and what you write carries a lot of weight. So he never pushed us into journalism. I sort of fell into it happenstance after taking an internship, after graduating from college, and it was literally weeks before the 9/11 attacks. But for me, it was the first big story I covered, and it kind of set the pace for the rest of my career. I saw all the things my parents had taught me, which was you have to ask questions and you have to know the power of your words. So I watched a lot of news growing up. You know, I had trailblazers like Cokie Roberts and Connie Chung to look up to, but I never imagined I'd get into journalism until I fell into it.
You worked for commercial and legacy stations before you came to public media. So what drew you to public media as a storyteller?
Truly, it was the chance to be able to work closely with a legend like Judy Woodruff, to be able to sub in her chair when she was out on the road, to be able to continue to get out and tell stories in a thoughtful and nuanced way. I loved my time at the commercial networks. I had great bosses. I had the ability to tell really important stories. I was a foreign correspondent for years and then covered domestic politics and stories as well. But there's something special about public media, and there's something special about the News Hour. And it's a place where thoughtful storytelling and thoughtful conversations and an understanding that this world is not black and white are core to what we do. We live in the gray, and I think we're so connected to our communities. Both you here at KPBS and all the member stations around the country, we understand there's an accountability there. And I think that connection, that responsibility that we feel to the communities we serve, I think it serves the journalism too.
What was it like for you to take the baton from Judy Woodruff, you and Jeff Bennett?
First of all, we can't say enough about Judy Woodruff, who is still at it, doing some incredible storytelling across the country about the divisions in this nation right now. And the reason I think that that happened so seamlessly and so smoothly from the feedback we've gotten from the audience is because of Judy and because of our executive producer, Sarah Just. They knew it was a big transition. There's only ever been 4 people to sit in those chairs before Jeff and I were handed responsibility for that desk. And we knew that it was going to be a big change for the audience. So it was a moment for both of us, for Jeff and I, of real duty, of real responsibility, but also just excitement. because this is a brand that's been around for decades. It was around before we were born. It's going to be around long after we're gone. And right now, we get to have stewardship of this incredible institution. So we're excited to help write its next chapter, but we take it sort of very seriously every day.
Yes, you take it seriously and you talk about the weight of responsibility. Can you think of a story that you've covered that maybe you felt that weight so acutely?
There's so many. I mean, the last few years in particular, it feels like trying to report the news is like drinking from a fire hose every single day. There's just no shortage of stories. And it's a really difficult time to be a journalist because of that, I think, but it's also a wonderful time to be a journalist. Like, there are stories everywhere you look. Just off the top of my head, I mean, you think back to some of the mass shootings that I've covered, right? Those are stories that deeply impact one community. Lives are forever changed. Policy is at play. Politics find their way into it. I can't imagine being anywhere else other than News Hour and trying to report on some of these really difficult, emotional, fraught stories in the way that we're able to in that platform. I think back to January 6th. I think about the live coverage we were in that day when Judy Woodruff was anchoring, Lisa Desjardins was inside the Capitol building, I was outside on the Capitol grounds, and we were live for just several hours at a time, just reporting on what we were seeing and hearing and what people on the ground were telling us. There's been moments in American history that I know will forever stay with us that I feel really privileged to have been able to tell. And it's our job as journalists, as educators, to build those bridges, to get them the information they need so they can make decisions about their lives.
I can really feel the depth to which you feel that. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
In case you missed it, KPBS just celebrated its 65th anniversary. You can stream our documentary special, KPBS 65, to see how our newsroom has grown over the years. It's available on the KPBS YouTube page and on our new streaming app, KPBS Plus. Our Public Matters project is hosting a live Q&A next week. Join reporters from KPBS, Voice of San Diego, and iNewsSource this Wednesday, September 24th. Submit your questions at the link on your screen, kpbs.org/Democracy Day 2025. We'll be talking about housing, political participation, and the impacts of federal policy. There are plenty of ways to volunteer at the Birch Aquarium, but did you know scuba divers can also lend a hand or a fin? They clean the tanks, feed the fish, and teach visitors about our oceans. For Public Matters Everyday Heroes series, KPBS's Laura McCaffrey dove into a day in the life of a volunteer diver.
My favorite part about scuba is the sort of peaceful feeling when you go down underwater. It's not quiet, you know, the ocean's actually a pretty loud place, but the sounds just totally wrap around you and you feel like you're in a different world. There's all kinds of clicks, and fish actually make lots of sounds, and the sounds of the waves, and sound moves 4 times faster in water than air. So our human brains and ears aren't really tuned to be able to tell the directions. I learned how to scuba the summer after I graduated from high school. It was a gift from my dad. And so my sister and I took lessons together up in Monterey Bay, and it was super cool to get to breathe under there. They kind of have you work up as you go through the volunteer program. So when I started, I was a freshman in college up at UCSD. And then when I was getting my master's degree, I was lucky enough to do a project where I did the Scripps scientific diving course. And once I had that certification, I was eligible to be able to dive in the tanks. Part of the scientific diving course, we do everything from navigation, advanced safety procedures and rescue, doing the equipment underwater, learning to, bring stuff up and down from the bottom safely. This is quite heavy. The whole setup altogether is at least 50 pounds, if not more. Luckily, once we get in the water, we're neutrally weighted, so we just float there. But before that, it is very heavy and cumbersome. So we typically sit on the side of the dive box here, and we'll flip our feet over and then get ready in the dive box so that we can then just swim directly out into the tank.
Garibaldi has made a west nest now. So you guys shouldn't have to worry when you're over here, but on the west side now, he has been coming out to give a little bit of territorialism to the awesome nest that he built. Keep your eyes out for the scorpion fish that are still on the bottom, those blind California moray eels, and in general, all the fish that are swimming around you. I'm still looking for zip tie fish. Find them. Oh, there's a zip tie right at the bottom where you would be cleaning. Can you pick it up and bring it back? Awesome. You guys have any residual nitrogen I should worry about? You ready for some scuba?
Yes.
All right, please do a buddy check and keep an eye on each other on the bottom. All right, let's do this. Woo!
There's always 2 divers in the tank for safety, and the second one, their job is to siphon along the floor. And I love doing that because you just get to go clean the tank, but you have time to stop and look at the fish and say hi to them, and it's kind of a relaxed job. One person feeds, cleans the window, does the show, and the backup diver is sort of cleaning and making sure that all around the back of the tank is clean, and most importantly, keeping an eye on their buddy. Feeding is fun, but it takes your full concentration because they're swarming all around you. When I first started doing it, I was nervous, and my mom told me to just pretend that they were little puppies. So in my head, that's what I do. I just pretend they're little puppies, like, oh, you're so cute. And I've continued volunteering here because it keeps me connected to this community. The aquarium is part of Scripps Institution of Oceanography. I guess the other reason I'm really passionate about coming here is that it's a way for the general public and a lot of tourists who come to San Diego to see what is underwater right off our coast. You know, we could drive down the hill right now and go to the beach, and most people see what's on the surface. And here you get a glimpse of these fish that are in the water every day, all day, while we're going to work and school, doing their thing. And it helps remind people, hey, all this stuff is right here. We should appreciate it, go see it, and do what we can to protect it and keep our oceans and our beaches clean and healthy.
What a great story. That was produced by Laura McCaffrey and video journalist Carolyn Corellis for Public Matters Everyday Heroes series. You can find more stories like this one at kpbs.org/volunteer. We hope you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Jacob Ayer. Thank you for joining us.